The following is an excerpt of the creepypasta short story, Ted the Caver, read by Joshua Campbell. Well, we've entered the modern age of short stories, and not necessarily ones that are being published on books or anything. Instead, we've entered a very interesting genre of internet short stories dubbed creepypasta. The word is a play on of a common internet phrase known as copypasta, where essentially one internet user will copy and paste a long message that another user has typed somewhere in some other corner of the internet, and with this technique they can easily spread either information, a story, a joke, whatever they want to, with just a few clicks of their keyboard. That is essentially what a creepypasta is, a short, scary story that can easily be copy and pasted across the internet and shared with pretty much anyone. This phenomenon started very early in the internet and was most common around the late 2000s, early 2010s era of the internet. However, the first creepypasta ever written has largely been regarded as Ted the Caver. The story follows Ted, his friend, who he gives the pseudonym of B, and B's dog, as they traverse many uncharted caves, but ultimately ending up in an uncharted cave which they dub Floyd's Tomb. The story itself is told via website updates by Ted himself. Now, the story is completely fictional, but Ted himself is a caver in real life and has used his real-life experience as a caver to lend credibility and even photographic evidence to the story. And yes, if you really want to, you can go to Ted's website right now and read all of his journal updates as if it was a real event that actually happened to him. With that layer of context, here is an excerpt from one of the website's updates from Ted the Caver.
This trip out, I wanted to see if we could speed up the work by using larger masonry bits. I purchased some good-sized ones at the hardware store, at a good-sized price. One was larger in diameter than all the rest. The other one was smaller around, but longer. I had pretty much concluded that the big one might be too big, and I was right. We tried to get it to go into the rock, but progress was very slow. We tried pushing for all we were worth, and all we got was tired. The larger bit just created too much friction area for our strength. It might have worked with a hammer drill, but we didn't have one. The longer bit worked fine with our drill. We relied on it for most of the work we did this trip. I thought we were going to be out one bit and a drill in my hand when the bit broke off toward one end. I was pushing as hard as I could on the drill with the bit a few inches in the wall when it snapped. I nearly rammed the drill through the wall from pushing so hard. We were able to retrieve the bit and keep using it, minus a couple of inches. It still worked great. Only once in a great while did we resort to hammer and chisel. Work was proceeding as normal, till about the time we were on our fourth battery. I was kneeling down and working the drill slowly into the wall at the time. I had my earplugs in, my safety glasses on, and was lost in my own thoughts. Suddenly, over the squeal of the drill wearing down the rock, I heard a strange noise. It was loud. I could hear it over the noise of the drill, even though I had the earplugs in as well. At first, I thought it was just the drill bit doing its job on the cave. It would frequently complain by screeching and whining as we were forced into the wall. This was different. It took me several full seconds to comprehend that this was coming from inside the hole, and not the bit. I stopped drilling and yanked my earplugs out just in time to hear the most terrible scream I have ever heard trail off and echo into the darkness of the cavern. I stared wide-eyed at the hole. For several moments I didn't move, nor did I breathe. I turned to look at B. Moments earlier he had been lying on the rope bag catching a nap. Now he was standing upright, mouth open, with a look of concern on his face. I turned and looked into the hole again, half expecting to see a demon face staring back at me. Nothing was different in Floyd's tomb. I fixed my gaze on the back of the squeeze, where the limits of my light reached. There was no motion, only darkness beyond the reaches of my light. In the complete silence that followed, I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. not another sound could be heard in the cave. Suddenly, I heard a scraping noise behind me and straightened up. I nearly knocked myself out, hitting my head on the overhang. It was just B moving to turn on his light, but I was so wired it nearly sent me to my grave. B spoke, and again I jumped. He said to get some rocks and put them into the hole. He explained that whatever animal had made that noise might be able to get through the hole. I immediately grabbed a few rocks and hoisted them through the opening. Using the handle of the sledgehammer, I slid the rocks as far back into the tunnel as I could reach, creating a wall between us and the other side. Since the squeeze is so small, it didn't take long. The entire time I was doing this, however, I was thinking that the noise certainly did not come from an animal. I didn't know if B really thought it was, or if he was just trying to convince me himself. I didn't say anything to him about what I thought.